If you're watching this, you're either interested in bikes or wondering whether or not you could actually like Mondays. The motorcycle industry is growing, it's diverse, and there are roles in it for everyone. Whether you are admin, accounting, whether you're a mechanic, an engineer, whether you want to develop the new technology of these things, there are plenty of opportunities for everyone. There are thousands upon thousands of businesses out there in the motorbike industry which need people and need people like you. Even if you don't have any existing experience, there are transferable skills. This industry and the bikes are evolving and they are changing. We have electric, we have hydrogen coming. We need people with the skills, with the talent, with the passion to actually move into this industry and help take us to the next level. There's a job here for everyone, whether you're highly experienced or whether you're straight out of college or whether you're looking to develop your career in it. We need people of all ages, all abilities, and all experiences. However, don't just take my word for it. We've been out there interviewing multiple people who work within the bike trade about why they love their job. So listen to them.
My name's Matt Parry. I've been in the industry 27 years now. I started as a print apprentice, but I never really got to print school and the industry kind of died. So I was interested in motorcycles. I decided to sort of pursue my hobby as my job. I went to college, did a year's college course, and then I went in as an apprentice at a local dealer in Wimbledon. The senior guys in the workshop, particularly the workshop foreman, was always keeping an eye on what I was doing, giving advice, techniques on how to do things, and just watch what you're doing so you're not making mistakes, you're not damaging things, and bring your skills on. The next main dealers I was at was BMW. Again, they've got an excellent apprenticeship scheme, but obviously I was at a bit of a higher level than the apprenticeship scheme. I had a few apprentices there, all assigned a mentor. So the younger lads would be either supervised completely, or they would do a simple job that they've done before and they've seen before. They would then do on their own with someone looking over their shoulder. And then they would be not unsupervised, it would be checked, but it would get to the point where they've done it a number of times, they know what they're doing with the job. I'm confident they know what they're doing with the job, and it's safe. And so long as it's safe, all good. The apprenticeship schemes from the manufacturers have come on a very long way since I started. There's some very good guys training people. They've got the latest stuff. You can always ask the trainers when we're in the workshop. The guys will ask for technical support, but they'll always ask the trainers as well. The trainers are very helpful, very experienced, quite often master techs themselves, and they've been in the industry. So the training guys are excellent. They're a very top level techs. It's a good laugh in here. I work with a couple of good guys who are always entertaining, let's say. There's tea to be had, there's cake sometimes. It's a good job, it's a rewarding job. It's not a drudgery. There's hard aspects to it, where you have to work hard and you're a little bit under pressure, but you're not getting up in the morning dreading going to work. I've been doing it nearly 30 years and I'm still happy coming to work. So it is a good trade to be in. There's always work out there. Everybody's crying out for bike techs. There's never not a job there.
So my name's Amy. I am the service manager at Grantham Honda Motorcycles. I've been here now for around about 2 years. My journey started back at Renault for a different motor group. I was an apprentice service advisor. I've always loved cars, anything motorsport, so sort of knew I wanted to get into the motor trade really. So I completed my apprenticeship with Renault. I then went to Volkswagen. So I worked there for a good 2 or 3 years, progressing through. I was a service advisor and went through to workshop control. I've always been quite technical, so real good understanding in the workshop and love to get quite hands-on. So whilst I was at Volkswagen, I did what's called the Evolution programme, and that is something that Virtue Motors run. And it's an 18-month programme which has lots of intensive training, sort of fast-track into management. So I did plenty of courses, driving up and down the country, backwards and forwards to plenty of different things, learning loads. And then at the end of that you sit an assessment, and if you pass then you get put forward for a promotion. which is what's led me here. I've always been into anything with an engine, really. Always followed superbikes, touring cars, so being able to come into bikes and be around them all day, it's wicked. I don't ride, which I probably shouldn't say working in a bike shop. I'd like to eventually, but it's great. It's a great atmosphere, the people are great, the customers are great, and it's just like a real fun environment, really. I think you've always got to have a passion for what you do, otherwise, you're a long time at work, aren't you? So the job I liked and the bikes came along with it. I learnt a lot from our master technician John when it came to bikes and technically how they work and things like that, obviously. But I did learn a lot, and as I've progressed through it, I've become a lot more comfortable, really enjoying it. Don't have any desire to work outside of bikes really going forward. I'm really glad I moved. A typical day for me: get here, open up, turn the heating up because the lads have turned it down and I'm always cold. Go through into the workshop, bit of a morning meeting with my guys just to make sure we know what's coming up the day ahead. Customers see in, see out, price up parts. We run an eBay store, so there's generally quite a lot of going on with that, selling accessories online and getting them posted out. And just sort of make myself visible, really. Wander around, make sure the team's all right. A big part of my job is selling, really. We do a lot with clothing and accessories, and even if it be a VHC upsell through the workshop, there's a lot that you have to sort of be quite adept with understanding and explaining, and that probably is my favourite part, is learning all the new stuff, and that obviously links back to the product and what we sell. You can take as much or as little as you like out of a job like this, and if you can throw yourself into it, and if you are a biker and you love biking, then happy days. If you're not, then it's one of those jobs that it's very hard to not become passionate about it, because it's such a bog. And again, I don't ride at the moment. I would like to in the future, but I would say go for it. It's wicked.
My name's Mark Roberts. My job title here is Department Manager. Generally oversee most of the things that happen within the store, and I've been in the trade for about 20 years. So before I actually came into the trade, I was apprentice bricklayer, so quite an extreme difference really, going from an outdoor job laying bricks to actually working in my local motorbike shop in the parts, clothing and accessories department. I was really interested in motorbikes. I'd had motorbikes for many years. I'd bought a bike from the local bike shop, and it was just barely from a conversation with the guys that worked in the bike shop that they were looking for somebody, and I was probably fitted to that sort of style job. I knew I was more interested in motorbikes than laying bricks. So with it being more of a hobby, I thought getting paid to do what you enjoy doing was a pretty good idea for me. So I spent 7 years at the local motorbike shop, and then after that I went to work for a manufacturer, an importer called Moto Direct. I did the race service for them, running the race department. So I did all the RST leathers, the badging service, the custom leathers for the race guys. I also did the race service along at the British Superbike rounds and the Isle of Man TT, looking after all the riders with their helmets and whatever sort of needs that they had. Did the helmet service, pressurised pit stops. My main man was Bruce Anstey. Oh, wow. So it was quite a pressured job not to ruin his TT. You learn on the job as you go, but there are actual training courses that the manufacturers offer for you to go on to improve your customer service, to improve the systems knowledge that you need to use. So that sort of training is provided by the manufacturers. It's a never-ending process, really. There's new models coming out. There's always new model training. There's online training. There's actual training in classrooms where you travel. There's even training where you get to go abroad sometimes. So it's great. You get to test the new models in a country where you know it's not necessarily going to rain every day. So yeah, there's opportunities within the trade to do numerous jobs, right through from working in a workshop, working in the showrooms, parts, clothing, accessories. It's fantastic, yeah. Helmets, visors, the whole shebang. Doing a race service job, you just never know where it's going to take you. Every day is different, you meet different people. The new models are different, so there's always something to look forward to the following year, getting to get out on something a bit different. The best thing about working in the motorbike trade is dealing with like-minded people and basically getting paid to do your hobby. So getting paid to ride motorbikes. What more could you ask for?
I'm Matthew Day. I'm the Network Support Manager at Honda UK. So in essence, it's a very varied role, but I look after dealer training for the UK, as well as their retail standards, so how we present ourselves in the showroom. I guess my journey in the bike and automotive industry began about 10 years ago. So when I left school, we were all driven down a path of you need to go to university, this is what you must do, and this is how you'll end up in the job that you want to get. But I was determined to do something that I knew that I wanted to do. So I started looking around local car dealerships, local motorcycle garages to try and find a job that I wanted to do. Someone told me once that if you're passionate about what you do, your job doesn't feel like a job anymore. So I stumbled across Honda. So I joined as the Honda Apprenticeship program. I joined as a parts advisor apprenticeship. There were loads of options even at that time, and it's expanded as the Honda Apprenticeship programs continue to grow. So it was taught through block training, which was by far and away the most important part of the apprenticeship program for me. It was amazing. So as a 17-year-old, you go away for a week at a time with a group of other like-minded 17, 18, 19-year-old men and women. We went to the Honda Institute that at the time was in Slough, has now been relocated to Bracknell. And I walked into the main workshop, and there were V6 marine engines all on one row, like spinning away in their little tanks. There was an RCV replica, so one of the MotoGP replicas that have been used for some training or something. There was a Honda F1 car, the Earth Dream car, if you remember that from I think 2007. And you're just completely submerged into product straight away, which I think is one of the coolest things about working in the industry that we do work in, is that you are surrounded by stuff that you love. And that is so cool, and that never wears off, I think. Well, it certainly hasn't for me yet. So I finished my 2-year apprenticeship program, and I had the opportunity to apply for the Honda graduate program. And I went in to head office as a graduate now at this point. So I've done my apprenticeship program, and now I'm a graduate. After a short stint in cars, I quickly gravitated towards motorcycles, where there was just so much kind of opportunity to be able to do exciting things. And a company like Honda, it gives you so much rope that you can just build yourself a ladder to do almost anything you wanted to do. So within the first year that I joined the graduate program, I worked an entire season of BSB heading up the hospitality unit. The day of the life is pretty varied. I've got a bit of a catch-all role, and I think a lot of the teams that work in the bike industry are a bit smaller, which I think is a really great thing, because it creates a family environment even for a big company like Honda, but also gives you the opportunity to try lots of different things. Never say that you can't do anything. The industry is so accessible, and it's becoming more and more accessible. It's becoming much more, even in the short time I've been in it, it's more inclusive and more diverse than it ever has been. We've got a number of women working in our department who offer such a unique perspective as well, and I don't think you shouldn't think that this is an old white man's game. This is something that is accessible to everyone, and if you've got that little bit of a spark, that's all you need completely.
Hello, my name's Rachel Walker, and I am an administrator. I also do accounts, payroll, bit of HR, cover on the sales, bit of everything really. So my background is dancing, believe it or not. I went to boarding school from the age of 11 to dance. I went to the Royal Ballet School, to the Northern Ballet School, and that's my history. Yeah, pretty much self-taught really. I've always been quite good with computers. I had a couple of jobs where I was, working at a dance college and things like that. I've always been a very organised person. Yeah, I mean, even as a dancer, you have to make sure you've got your CV all sorted. You've got to apply, you've got to get the stage, you've got to look at your auditions, you've got to deal with agents and things like that. So there's all those things from everyday life, just trying to get your jobs in the first place, put yourself out there. Again, I do a bit of the social media and bits and bobs and make sure the website's done and things, and obviously those transferable skills that I've had previously from doing that for myself as a business, just transfer over. It's, the same thing really. And various different companies like Kawasaki and Ducati and stuff, they do all their online courses and bits and bobs. So you can, online's a bit more recent, but you can go down, and they do put on these courses, and yeah, just take it all in. I think as a woman that you might not think it's necessarily a lady's world, but it's only like it's cars, it's just got 2 less wheels at the end of the day. And if you've got that passion and drive, and especially from the sales side, you know, if you've got that kind of, you know, enthusiasm to be able to sell and, you know, and get things out the door and stuff, then it's the same thing. I've always wanted to work hard, and I've always worked hard no matter what I've done. And, you know, I really enjoy working in this environment. It's exciting, it's not your everyday thing, and I think probably bikes more than cars as well, because, you know, it's just that extra edge, isn't it?
My name's Richard Brown. I've been working here for 6 years as service advisor. I've come from a building background initially, as a carpenter, left school, went straight into the building trade, and in 2016 I decided it was time, I wanted to spend more time with bikes. So going from working on a building site to working behind a desk has taught me everything I know, really. I couldn't type. Everything was writing. Should have done it years ago, really. I did help out at a KTM dealership. He used to sponsor me on the motocross, so I used to help him out weekends. So I sort of dipped in a little bit, but I was still building. This is a lot more hands-on. Well, initially, obviously the sales team sold bikes. That person's going to come back and want their first service, generally around 600 miles. I check the scheduler, see what suits them, suits us, and get them booked in. I'll quote them the price, tell them the length of the time for the job, what's involved. Basically, any questions they've got, I can answer for the servicing. Yeah, I mean, it is a joy to work with bikes. I've ridden them all my life, really. So to actually work with them, I'd be surrounded by bikes all day. It's the perfect job. It is a good atmosphere. Every customer that comes in is a bike rider. I'm a bike rider. You know, we've all got something in common all the time. Everybody that works here rides a bike. It's just really good. My hobby's my life, and I might as well work my life. And it's brilliant, yeah.
So I'm Sam, I'm the Group Commercial Manager for VisorDown.com and Crash.net. I've been here for about a year now. It was my 1-year anniversary last Wednesday. I've been working in the motorbike industry for about 5 years. I originally got into it kind of by accident. I've done media sales and sales at banking and recruitment for years. And then when I came back from maternity leave, I got offered a chance to work with motorcycles. And for me, bikes have always been like the coolest thing ever, but I had no idea how to get into it. So when they said, hey, do you want to work on bikes? I went, yes, and pretty much snapped their hand off. What is my job? Oh, it's hard to explain. The short answer is I keep the lights on. We're 100% ad revenue led. Without it, we wouldn't exist at VisorDown. So I sell advertising. However, we're all sold to constantly. So what's new, interested in creative ways to get someone to engage with ads? So it's a lot of kind of creating content, as well as different quizzes, different ideas, rather than, do you want an ad? It's way more exciting than that. Because we're quite a compact organisation, I get to do a bit of everything, we all do. So I also help with reviews, I get to test bikes, I've done some marketing, I wrote a press release recently, just generally you kind of don't, you know what you're going to get, but it's very different on a day-to-day basis. I spent last week in Milan at EICMA watching all these new bike launches, and I got to be there when Kawasaki announced their electric and their hydrogen bike, and there are times when you just kind of stand there and go, this is my job. I am paid to talk about these things. If someone's interested in bikes and isn't sure if they should pursue it as a career, I would say do it. We spend too long working to not love what you do. So life is about thriving, it's about enjoyment. So why not spend your days enjoying every moment? I mean, obviously you have bad days, but why wouldn't you want to enjoy what you do? And so yeah, I would say look into it, do it. speak to people, speak to dealers, go on bike jobs, find something, interview, do what you need to do to try and get into it, because it's such a great industry to get into. For people that have the skill set but maybe don't have an interest in bikes, I would still encourage them to do it, because again, it's hard not to just repeat myself and not just say what a great industry this is. There's a lot of progression. There is a lot of diversity here. You can chop and change and get a taste of something you like and then move those skills onto something else. There is the opportunity here to form lifelong careers and multiple skill sets. I am so much more proficient with a bike than I was when I started. So there are multiple career paths. It is an enjoyable industry. There's so many growth opportunities, and with the new technologies coming through, with all the things being spearheaded, there's so many growth opportunities. These aren't going anywhere. They're just going to evolve. So why not be part of a career that is evolving and changing and moving into the future?
Chris Walker, ex-bike racer, now dealer principal, Chris Walker Motorcycles, Kawasaki and Ducati here in Lincolnshire, Grantham. Prior to that, BSB, and before that, I was started out life 8 years in the bike industry as a junior technician at a bike dealership in Nottingham. Been in the bike industry for on and off really, pretty much, rather racing or working in a dealership since 1986. So yeah, a long time. Seen a lot of changes. Obviously, you spend more time with your staff when you're hands-on like I am than you do your family. So you need to get on, and those people need to be interested. They need to show a bit of drive, and they need to, for our job here in this dealership, you need to be able to do a bit of everything. I'm, dealer principal, I guess you'd say, but I'm the one that washes the motorbikes. So, we all do a bit of everything from the top end to the bottom end. And right now, I think we've got the perfect mix of experience, enthusiasm. They're all enthusiastic. They've not been in the industry or any job for 25, 30 years and they've had enough. Even though Rich is one of the older ones here, similar age to myself, he's still fresh at the job and enthusiastic when he's on his way to work, which you still need as a customer when you walk in for that first time. The way you're dealt with and approached. If it's your man that feels like they've worked for Arkwright and Son for 25 years and they're a bit fed up with the job, whatever it is you're selling, we've just witnessed the postman coming in, haven't we? The most miserable man on the planet. And it's, well, you haven't worked for the Royal Mail, but once upon a time, it's probably a fantastic job. And I believe the bike industry it's a lot of fun. No 2 days are ever the same. I left school relatively early to go and work in a dealership, and the old boy that looked after me, I used to cause him some grief because I didn't have a huge amount of experience in working on other people's motorbikes as their pride and joy isn't necessarily something you'd want the youngest of apprentices instantly to do. But when we've got 11 Ducati demo bikes, we've got 7 or 8 Kawasaki demo bikes, to look after those is a great job for an apprentice to do and to learn things. And forbid they do make a mistake, it's not affecting anybody else's world. It's just within the dealership and you can deal with it. And I used to build bikes out of crates and I used to, tidy the workshop, sweep the workshop, polish the bikes in the showroom if there's nothing I could do in the workshop. And in the end, I actually broke my leg racing motocross. And so I couldn't work in the workshop for a short period of time. So they stuck me behind the desk in the showroom and I started selling more bikes than the salesman, because as a mechanic, you knew more about the bikes than the salespeople. And then I got a job on sales. So it is pretty amazing really where you can end up just from giving it a try. What you can say about our dealership is, from the outside, it does look quite Gucci, to be fair. We've got a beautiful showroom. We've got a nice downstairs used bike showroom, tattoo shop, barber shop. It's a bit more special than your average dealership, I would say. It is very much a destination. And from the outside looking in, you could think, I'd love to be a part of that, but how do you do it? And it isn't unachievable for, as you've seen from our other staff. We've got Dan from Screwfix, we've got Richie who was a chippy, we've got a speedway mechanic, we've got a ballet dancer running the accounts and it isn't a closed shop in any way, shape or form, but you've got to obviously put yourself out there. I think we've got one of the best teams we could ever have, and there's really only pretty much 2 out of all of us here, not including myself, that have done anything in the bike industry before. So we're proof really, aren't we? Which is fantastic. from a dealership point of view, while certain jobs have evolved a bit, like I talked about with the clothing and accessories, how the clothing's become more technical and electric push bikes, we've also now on the cusp, only in the last few hours, Kawasaki have announced in the new model range for in the next few months there's going to be, you know, electric bikes coming through. And from a technician's role, that completely changes everything, because our man that we've employed that knows all about Desmos is never going to work on an electric motorbike. And the enthusiasm from the youngsters for them to have a connection with something that's a bit more like, you know, you look at the dash on an electric motorbike, it's like your smartphone, and they will have, I think, far more of a connection with something that plugs in the wall and charges and doesn't smell and make loads of noise than you know, your old school mechanic that can do Desmo services, belt services, and do the valve clearances on a H2R, for instance. So that is going to be fantastic for people going forward. And again, the training that's going to be needed for that from every dealership, because they're very limited which dealerships have got any electric bike experience. Even the way I think you have to have a special area to work on them in, because they need to be earthed before you touch them, and you know, there's different things, and to get an apprentice in that can learn with the dealership for that would be incredible, because it's going to be something we all have to embrace, whether we like it or not. It's coming in, and it's coming thick, and it's coming fast. So, and then there's hydrogen on the way, so where it could go anywhere.